All right, so this is Pax Viking, where you're trying to become the first Swedish monarch, either through battle, religious, or trade dominance. First thing I'm going to show you is the tile anatomy. So these are tiles. You'll see at the top, this shows that this is a god tile. It is based in Iceland. On the top left, you see that you put a Uraldum follower on this to establish it. On the right, you can see that this is a persistent ability that happens during a journey action. And the ability is you can place your longship starting a journey on a sea region has an extra step. You have the name of the card below that and the flavor text below that. So there are four different types of tiles. There are God tiles, there are venture tiles, there are event tiles, and there are advocate tiles. So venture tiles go on the board. In this case, this goes in Sarskoye. Um, Advocate tiles go on your player board. In this case over here, God tiles also go on your player board, and event tiles are just played. I'm going to go over the map board now. So the map is separated into four winds. You have the blue north wind, the purple west wind, the orange south wind, and the green east wind. So those winds are then separated into regions. So the blue north wind has the regions of Vens, the Baltic Sea, Svea, Bjarmeland, Sapmi, and the Barents Sea. Those regions are then separated further into locations. So Vens has two empty locations. Svea has one empty location and one trade center, Bilka. And the Norwegian Sea has two locations which are powerful allies. All right, there are three types of locations. As I mentioned, the venture location, which you can activate abilities on. You have trade centers, which are persistent abilities, as shown by the little infinity symbol, and you have uh, powerful allies, which are one-time abilities, as shown by the exclamation point. So those are the different location types. Um, Next is your player board. So your player board has the different types of followers. So your Uraldum followers, your Theocracy followers, your Swedish followers, and your Rus followers. You have your 6 longships, and then you have space for your advocates, one god, and your special ability. Your nameplate shows you where you're from. So in this case, Eric Doctorius is from the north, and this is his starting location. Then you have the 5 regular actions you can perform and the 4 follower actions you can perform if you have the most followers of that type at the start of your turn. All right, so I'm going to discuss the different types of follower or regular actions that you can do. First is the invest action. The invest action allows you to draw and restock or buy from the saga track. So drawing is just taking one tile off the top and putting it in your hand. If you draw off the top, you're going to remove any tile that is in the 1 cost location and restock, which means move everything down and refill any empty spots. So in this case, I just press this white button and it does it for me. All right, so that is draw and restock, or you can buy from the saga track. So to buy, you just choose a tile and you pay the listed cost. So if I were to buy this, I would pay 2 silver to the supply. So that is invest. Journey allows you to move your longship up to 3 steps. So if you have longships on the board, you can move them. If you have longships on your player board, you start at your starting location. So the starting location for Eric the Victorious, it's in the north, and that's my emblem, so I know to look here, and there is the starting location. So I'm going to start putting my longship there, and that's where it starts from. And then I'm going to move it 3 steps. So a step is moving across white borders or into or out of locations. So in this case, I'm going to move 1 into the Baltic Sea, one across this white border into Vens, and then one more into this location. All right. I cannot then move into here because there's a black border. I can't move into Pechenegs because they're black borders. I can only move out of here again and then through other locations. So you start in your starting location, then you step 1, step 2, step 3. You can move directly from the sea into locations that have a harbor. So you see that harbor there. That means that I can move from the Baltic Sea directly into Bilta as one step. I cannot move directly from the Baltic Sea into this location because there are no harbors there. So I have to go 1, 2, 3. All right. Another thing to note about movement is this is your starting location. If you happen to have a duchy, that also counts as a starting location. So a duchy is when you have two venture locations of in one region that belong to you. So if I had two Tsarskoye and I had established both of them, now this counts as one of my starting locations. So if I wanted to start from here, I could, and I can move. Or if I wanted to start from here, I could. And it works the same way. This counts as one step, and then that counts as another step, and that is my third step. So duchies count as a starting location. All right. So next is play. So play allows me to play any type of tile if I have a longship on that location, right? So right now I have this tile in my hand, and I can play this tile if I have a longship in Pharaoh. So if I move my longship to Pharaoh, I can now play this god and place it there and establish it. So establishing just means that I am putting the listed follower on that tile. So I have now established that god, and I have its persistent ability, which happens during a parlay action. So when I'm defeated, I take one tile from the saga track of any cost. Right? So if I wanted to play a advocate, same thing. I need to be in Dublin, so I need to move my longship, a longship into Dublin, and I can now play this into here, and I put the listed follower on there, and I have now established this advocate, which gives me a persistent ability as listed by the little infinity symbol. When placing a Swedish follower, I now gain 2 silver from this point forward. All right, so you can also play events. So when you play an event, in this case, I have to have a longship in Chang'an, so I move my longship to Chang'an. I can now play this event, and it immediately resolves. I return a longship of a co-located rival, and that resolves, and I discard that. And then venture locations. So in this case, Volga, if I have a longship in a location in Volga, I can play that venture location. I cannot be in a region, I have to be in that location. So in this case, if I have this in my hand, I can play it and then establish that. So I establish it by putting a Rus follower on that location. And I have now established that Volga location, which I can then activate as my next action. So the next thing that you can do is activate. So to activate, if you have a ship and a follower on a venture location, and only you have a ship and a follower, only you have a ship on that location, you can activate that ability and exhaust that longship. So in this case, I want to activate this ability, so I exhaust this longship, and I draw 2 from the saga pile. So that is my activate action. You can activate a venture tile as many times as you have longships in that location. So if I had a second longship in that location, I could exhaust that and activate it again. So exhausting just means that you are using one of your longships to activate that ability. You can still move that longship to another location. It just means that you can only establish, or you can only activate a longship or a venture location for the number of times that you have longships on that location. All right, so that is play. Next, or sorry, that is activate. Next is parlay. So parlay allows you to exchange silver, tiles, or promises, or challenge. Then if after that challenge you are alone, you can establish. So there's a lot to unpack there. First, exchange silver, tiles, or promises. So let's say that white decides to journey into this location. They can say, hey, yellow, I'm going to seize this location um, unless you give me 4 silver. All right, so you can also say, hey, yellow, I want to buy that tile you grabbed for 2 silver. Or I want to trade this tile that you might want to create a duchy for a tile that I might want to create a duchy in my location, or an event that I want to play because I really need an event. So you can trade silver, you can trade tiles, you can trade promises of future actions. You can say, hey, I'm not going to attack this as long as you give me a silver every turn. Or I'm not going to use my, one of my follower actions that, to steal one of your things if you give me something. So promises of future actions are not binding, but you can do any kind of exchange as part of a parlay action. The other thing you can do with a parlay action is challenge. So in this case, when you challenge, you're going to check your strength compared to the strength of your rival. So the strength is the number of ships you have, and any other card abilities that might affect that. So in this case, white has 2, yellow has 1, so white wins that challenge. So the winner is going to return the first longship to their player board, and any other longships to the nearest adjacent region, right? So if I had 2 longships on here, and white had 1 more, then when white does the challenge, the first one is going to move back to my player board, and the second one is going to move to the first legal adjacent region. All right. So that is at that point, if you are the only one with longships in that location, you establish. So that means you're going to exchange this follower with one of your followers, and you now have that location. So you challenge. If you are then alone, you can establish. All right. So that is parlay. After you do one of your 4 actions, so you have 4 actions on your turn, noted by these 4 action tokens. So you just put it there to say that you've done an invest action. You can do 4 invest actions on your turn if you want to, or you can do different actions. Once you've done your 4 actions, you go into the end of turn phase, which is the winter solstice phase. So during the winter solstice phase, the first thing you're going to do is check to see how many unique followers you have out. In this case, on this player board, it shows that I have 3 unique followers out, right? So I have 2 of these, but only one of them is unique. There are 3 total. If I had, that means that maximum you can have 4 income at the end of your turn if you have all 4 of your unique followers out. So you get your income, and then you discard down to your hand limit. So your hand limit is 4. If you have more than 4, you need to discard down to 4. Then you check to see if you have more followers of any given type than anyone else. So if I have, for example, more followers of Theocracy than anyone else, if I have more followers of Theocracy than anyone else, then I would get the Theocracy follower action. And I would put one of my follower actions back to show that I'm the one that has the Theocracy follower action, and to show that I only ever have 4 actions on my turn. All right. So I can use this to do the Theocracy follower action, or I can use it to do one of the standard actions. So at the start of my next turn, if I still have more Theocracy followers than anyone else, then I can do that follower action, right? So that applies to all the follower actions, and I'm going to explain what they do now. So if I have more Roost followers than anyone else, and I have the Roost follower action, I can do that, which is to target a rival's advocate and steal it, right? So in this case, if let's see, if we have something like that. So let's say that that is there. And I want to steal this advocate from white. That means that I have to go to Miklagard, which is that advocate's location. If I go to Miklagard, I can then perform the Rus action to steal this friend, right? So stealing just means I remove their friend, I put it on my player board, and I establish it, and that is now my friend. All right, so you target a rival's advocate and you steal it. So the next is a Sweden action. So the Sweden action allows you to draw from the saga pile, and if it is a venture, you can establish it. So I'm going to draw, and if that is so that is an event. So if it's not a venture location, it just goes into your hand. If you were to draw, say, this, you could then establish that without having to have your longship on that location. So in this case, I drew this. I can put it in Pechenegs and then put a longship and a follower to establish that location. All right. So that is the Sweden follower action. Next is the Uraldum action. So the Uraldum action allows you to move 1 step into a location and return 1 rival ship, and then establish if you are then alone on that location. So to go over that, let's say this is there and white is there. So if white wanted to do a Uraldum action, they would move 1 step into this location, and then they would remove 1 longship, so they would return that longship back to the player's Jarl board. And now if they are alone in that location, they can establish that location, which means that gets removed and replaced with that follower. If you're not alone, if I had 2 longships into here, right, then white could step into here and remove that longship, but they are not alone, so they cannot establish that location. So that is the Uraldum follower action. Next is the Theocracy follower action. So the Theocracy follower action allows you to exchange 1 rival Theocracy follower on any venture or powerful ally. So if I had a powerful a follower on this powerful ally, and blue had the Theocracy follower action, they could spend that to exchange that follower. So they've used their Theocracy follower action to proselytize and convert that follower to their religion. So those are the different follower actions. You can only ever do a follower action once. So if you have the Theocracy follower action, you can do it once on your turn, or you can use that action to do any of the regular standard actions, right? So those are the regular actions and the follower actions. So how do you win the game? So there are different victory conditions of different difficulty levels. You have novice, which is the simplest, then difficulty is standard, advanced, and Eclundian. So at the start of the game, you decide which difficulty levels you want. You can either choose all of one type, which we recommend for your first few games, or you can choose different difficulty levels, and you can choose to play them all face up, or you can choose to place them face down, and then you activate them when an event is played. So let's say that we had these victory conditions at the start of the game. So these are the victory conditions. Um, and in order to win, you need to play an event, which is why there's an event icon in the top left. And when you play an event, you check to see if anyone has met the victory condition. If they have, then they win the game. For the novice victory condition, you check it during winter solstice. But for most of the victory conditions, you check it when an event is played. If no one has met a victory condition when that event is played, you keep playing. If all of the tiles have been removed from the saga track, you check for victory condition one last time, and if no one has met the victory condition at that point, then whoever has the most followers out wins. If there's a tie for that, whoever has the most money wins. You'll also notice that there are different numbers on the victory conditions. That means that these conditions are more difficult than other types. The lower the number, the harder the victory condition. So if multiple victory conditions are met when an event is played, if somebody has met this one and somebody has met this one, the person that met this one wins because it is lower in number value, therefore harder to achieve. So that is the victory conditions. And that is Pax Viking. I hope that has been helpful.